G'day everybody, how you going today? It is so very good to see you. I do hope that you are super well. Today I want to talk about supply chains. I want to talk about why does somebody release a new camera like this one here and then they don't have enough of them? What's the reason for it? And it's complicated. It's not just as straightforward as they're stupid, they're failing. It's much harder than that. Manufacturing's tough. Also, I want to quickly, before we talk about that, I want to talk about this. Yes, Canacone t-shirts. Oh, but here it is. Here's my favorite version of it in the cap. Check it out. How good's that? I've also got other couple of designs. Nice clip back, by the way. I've got the retro inspired I'm a little bit vintage. Multiple colors, multiple sizes, multiple shapes. Here's a black version in a more trucker cap style. There it is there. Mine have only just arrived. I've got a big head. I think I need to make this. There we go. There it is. I'm a little bit vintage. Are you a little bit vintage? I'm a little bit vintage, I would say, at this stage. Grey hair and all. And, oh, and this one. And you won't be able to guess where I got the inspiration for this one from. There we have it. I am raw. It's just simply the story of my life. It's as simple as that. That's all there is to it. Now, there are these designs plus more. I'm going to be adding new designs as often as I can. If you check out below the video, you can see some of them there. And if you click onto them, you go through to the website run by a company called Spreadshirt. And they are affiliated with YouTube. So quality is good, turnaround is good, it's all good. I ordered these. It only took something like a week, less than a week to get here. So there's going to be all sorts of cool stuff. Check the apparel, hats, bottles. There's even iPhone cases, all sorts of stuff. It's just a bit of fun. And quite frankly, I'm a bit more excited about wearing a cap that's something that I'm kind of passionate about, which is supply, demand, and why is it that a camera like the ZFC is hard to get your hands on? And why is it that this 28 to 2.8 lens is so hard to get your hands on? What is that all about? Let's talk about it. These are the things that manufacturers need to think about. Firstly, one of the hardest things to do is to predict demand. How many are we going to sell? The next thing that's a really big problem is how much stock do you want at hand? How much stock do you want sitting on shelves? Companies consider this basically dead money. They don't want to produce too many, 2 times, 3 times the quantity of what they're going to sell in the first, let's say, quarter or the first production run, because that's basically money and resources tied up. And for a company, say, like Nikon, where they've got production lines, lens lines, and camera body lines, and they probably have multiples of each, they're slotting in which lens is going where and which camera is going where. They cannot produce every single product at the same time. So each product gets its slot. So if you produce too many of something, you're tying up that line, you're tying up those resources to stop you from being able to build something else. And then also you've got another problem that stock is sitting on the shelves, and that stock is cash. So not tying up the lines and not having dead money, dead stock sitting on the shelves is number 2. They really, really don't want to do that. And then we've got 2 other problems which are new to our world. One is COVID. Not sure if you've heard about it, but that is causing various parts, various suppliers not to be able to supply a little piece, a nut, a bolt, a chip, a circuit board, a little ribbon, a piece of glass, a piece of plastic, who knows? But if you have one company that falls over because of COVID, you can basically have 99% of your product there, 99% of your product complete, but you can't complete it because of that one part. So COVID is causing random disruptions in the global supply chain that we now live in. And then yet there's another issue which is, I think, a little bit COVID related, but I also think it's related to the fact that there are just more and more things with processors, with silicon inside them. And that is the general global worldwide car manufacturers computer manufacturers, camera manufacturers, everybody is suffering from this. It's a shortage of silicon chips. Now, this shortage is happening, I think, partly due to COVID, but I also think it's happening just because we are using so many of them. And literally the world can't keep up. As I've talked about in a previous video, it actually takes quite a long time to build these new production facilities. If you want to manufacture cutting-edge computer processors, then setting up a factory to do that takes a number of years. So even so they might have been trying to solve this problem, they saw the shortage coming, it takes a little while. On top of that, we're aware with the changes in the world that, for example, the United States of America are trying to get more manufacturing happening on their own shores. And there is a little bit of a diversification of where that manufacturing is happening around the world, because it has been somewhat centralized to a number of very large players. There are a lot of smaller players, but there are a number of large ones that do the lion's share of manufacturing. This is the issue that companies like Nikon have. They want to ensure that they have enough stock to meet demand, but they don't want to have any stock sitting on the shelf because that's considered dead money and dead resources, which means we have what is called a just-in-time supply chain and manufacturing chain around the world. Just in time, something that's been building up over the last few decades, where manufacturers are literally getting the parts to land to go into the latest widget the day before they need to put them in, and everything's arriving just at the last second. And again, this is all about maximizing profits and minimizing assets and money sitting around. That's what it's all about. But this ridiculously short pipeline, this on-demand pipeline, has been totally disrupted by 1, 2, 7, 5, whatever number of things. It does only need one not turning up, one thing not turning up on time. So what do companies do? Well, it's very difficult for these companies to change overnight. That's the first thing. And secondly, they very much don't want to change. They would be hoping that the world catches up and everything gets back to normal. But what we are finding right now in the world is that we have the Delta variant of COVID-19, and rather than things getting significantly better on an upward trend, I think we're in a little bit of a difficult situation right now. So what should our expectations be? Companies don't want to change. They can't do anything about it anyway because this problem's here and it's not going to solve itself. The chip thing is going to take a couple of years and the COVID thing is going to take a couple of years. Even if a company wants to churn out a second run of these as fast as they can, they might have some issues around their supply chain, their just-in-time supply chain. For example, like with the ZFC, the 2.8 lens is in short supply and we don't really know the reason why. Yes, some have shipped, and us general consumers have no idea. Have they shipped 1,000 or have they shipped 10,000? And did they want to ship 50,000? We just simply don't know. But why have Nikon stated there will be less of these than they wanted? And I would say that's probably something to do with the supply chain, something going wrong there, rather than their estimates being out. I still think Nikon probably did not commission enough of the ZFC and the 16 to 50 kit and the ZFC and the 28mm kit. Yes, I think that happened. Remember, they don't want stock sitting on the shelf. But I also think they've been hit by some sort of just-in-time supply line issue. So will this change? No, I don't think it will, especially for an industry like consumer photographic equipment, like we are all in and talking about. This is an industry that is in contraction, so businesses don't want to hold on to excess stock. They don't want to manufacture things that maybe won't sell or will take a long time to sell. So rather than us complaining about there not being enough stock, I think we really just simply need to understand that this is the world that we live in. And the way that I have worked around this problem is to get a great relationship with a retailer, a personal relationship with someone who knows who I am, they know my name, I can pick up the phone and I can give them a call. So the moment that I get a whiff of a new product coming, I give them a call or I send them an email and I say, can you please put me on the list? And if I'm first, can you put me at the top? And that is the very best way to solve this problem. because I think it's going to continue for a number of years to come. So keep in mind, these companies, because their margins are tight, they are going to continue to run this just-in-time supply line, which is extremely vulnerable to any changes in the world. And right now, we've got COVID, which is massive, and we have a global silicon chip shortage, which is massive. And just as a closing note, Nikon actually stated in their latest annual reports, which were for the ending of the previous financial year, that ensuring parts and specifically silicon chip parts was something that they had to pay much greater attention to.
This is the consolidated financial results year ended March 31st, 2021 from Nikon Corporation. As we can see here, this is the official document that absolutely anybody can download. And if we go down to page 8, when they're talking about procurement, Nikon are very aware of what's going on. Procurement. In each business, the group ensures stable procurement of supplies such as raw materials, key components, and finished products, while maintaining close relationships with suppliers. Specifically, some delays in procurement of supply are already materializing due to the consequences of the spread of COVID-19, such as tighter regulations on suppliers and regions, suspension of operations, and bankruptcy. As a consequence of growing demand and decreased supply due to a fire and other reasons, a supply shortage of semiconductors has also emerged to some extent. It is difficult to make concrete predictions regarding the scale and timing of these risks, as it depends greatly on social conditions. In response to this, however, the group conducts multiple purchases as much as possible and assesses alternative supplier candidates. The group also collects information regarding the procurement status of all business divisions in the event of a natural disaster or other such disruptions, and promptly reports the status to management. In addition, the group implements measures for multiple perspectives, such as considering the availability of alternative supply and alternative measures such as design changes. So here it is. This is in Nikon's own report published about 4 months ago. This is what they're dealing with. So look, this is an amazing report. If you're really interested in actually understanding the nuts and bolts of what these companies contend with, there are pages and pages and pages and pages of information and numbers, exactly how much they're spending on research and development, which happens to be pretty much the same as what it was always. They realize that R&D is super important. Then you can check all this out. You can see it here. What you can see here is this is just on Nikon's own website. These are all of these reports. Lots of these reports are super interesting. The one I was looking at is this one here, financial results. There's so many interesting things to look at here. Check it out if you actually want to know the realities, because they're here in black and white.
So this is something that they're aware of, they're mindful of, and they are working towards. And I can see someone like Tim Cook of Apple, his job before becoming CEO was the logistics supply chain of Apple. So he's extremely good at this and very much across it. So that would be a company that moves a lot of mountains to ensure that their products come out when they say they will. But even Apple has stated that they're being affected by it. But you can imagine them being a something like $2.5 trillion market cap company, I think they'll be throwing some money at the problem. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for being here today. Don't forget, you can get some apparel, get yourself a hat, and please let me know in the comments below, what do you think? Just-in-time supply line. Is that a good idea? I don't think it's the greatest idea in the world, but it's the way that things work. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of all of this stuff, the just-in-time supply line? Is there something that we need to change in the 21st century, in the 2020s, maybe whilst the world is unstable as it is? Please let me know in the comments below. And grab yourself a hat, a cap, a jumper, a fleece, a hoodie, a mouse mat, a mobile phone, whatever. Fantastic to see you. If this is your first time here, I would love to see you again, so please do subscribe. Please share and please like. It's so important to like the video. That helps it get out to a wider audience. I can't wait until I see you again. All right, look after yourself and bye for now. I take my hats off to you.